Welcome, everybody, to another live episode of Rangers Ed, sponsored by Lucarelli Law. This is our off-season preview episode. It is a busy week in the NHL, but first, let's congratulate the Florida Panthers on a great season and winning the Stanley Cup, just like everyone's going to do at the draft next week, right? But hell of a team, and they pulled it off, their first championship in franchise history, Coach.
Yeah, I mean, it was on the brink of being the worst breakdown in league history, and they squashed those bad vibes and they pulled it out. They had their typical game that they've played throughout the playoffs, and Bobrovsky came up big, flopping around at the end. I mean, you can't say that they dominated the third period because Edmonton put on a pretty good show and just couldn't put one in.
Yeah, a little late. It looked like Edmonton ran out of gas there, but it's always fun to watch the cup get handed out and see who the players skate around and stuff with it. So still a fun night.
Yeah, props to you for making the call, the videos I posted on Instagram. I took the Oilers, you took the Panthers, so good call by you. Yeah, like you said, I think the Oilers just ran out of gas, and the Panthers, we saw the whole playoffs came back to life in the set game 7 and just put a chokehold on the Panthers, and I mean on the Oilers. The Oilers just didn't have much room to do anything. McDavid, I don't want to say he was invisible, but just wasn't doing much. I put a ton of, I wouldn't say a ton of money. I just put a lot of little prop bets on him to score 2 goals, 2 assists, blah, 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 nothing. So, like that was just a little rough, but, it was a good, fun game to watch. Good hockey. You have to respect it was a good hockey game, close, tight game.
And, and Alexander Barkov is a monster. I mean,
he's unbelievable. He's going to be one of my favorite players to watch moving forward for sure. Like,
yeah, I mean,
gained a lot of respect for him.
Kucherov, Stamkos, that whole gang. He shut down Pasternak. He shut down Panarin, Zibanejad, and now he shut down McDavid and Draisaitl. They showed the numbers with him against McDavid. The expected goals for McDavid were like 6 per 60 minutes when he wasn't on the ice, and when Barkov was on the ice, it was like 2.
Yeah,
so I mean that's a huge difference. I mean,
right. Other than McDavid, everyone was saying Bobrovsky should have been the Conn Smythe winner, but I would have taken Barkov, no doubt.
Like, that was my pick.
Just what he did defensively alone. I don't know, but Bobrovsky made the saves he had to make. I don't think he really stole many games for the Panthers necessarily. I think the Panthers defense and the team and the leadership in general, and obviously that's Barkov. So I think he deserved it more than Bobrovsky if obviously McDavid wasn't getting it, who obviously deserved it the most. So thought that was interesting. We were texting about it earlier.
What do you think about a player on the losing team winning the Conn Smythe?
Hey, if he deserves it, like McDavid, the performance that he had, you can't argue it. I mean, and it's hard to say with any other situation. I mean, we were texting about it earlier. I mean, the other people that did it were mainly goaltenders, so that's rough if like a goalie's having an outstanding series and then just, I don't know, lack of a better word or phrase, his team doesn't show up in the final. You can't really blame him for that. It's tough. So maybe Lundqvist could have got Conn Smythe that year, but Quick played outstanding. He Quick won that year, right?
Yeah, I don't remember.
I don't think Bobrovsky deserved it. I don't think he dominated the playoffs where, he won it for him. He didn't steal it for the Panthers. I think it was a team effort. And on the Barkov,
right, that's what I mean.
On the Barkov subject, I mean, yeah, he was a phenomenal defensive player, but that whole defensive Selke type player and dominating like that throughout the playoffs, it's a team effort as well. I mean, because Barkov can't be out there constantly with them, and defensively and with him, there has to be a big communication and knowing what's going on with each other. And it was just look, they did a great job. We saw it against the Rangers up close, and hats off to Paul Maurice too. He had all those games without a Stanley Cup, the most in history or something like that, 1,500 and change. I kind of like him, and the one thing I wanted to mention, which I don't think I did in the past couple of episodes, is Bobrovsky at the games, coming out of his crease and standing up towards the American flag every time and paying attention. And I give him a little credit for that. He didn't just go through the motions. He kind of honored all the country's flags and the anthems, his teammates throughout. Deserved win for him as well.
I think just to wrap this up before we move on to the Rangers and the NHL calendar, which is insane, but I think that it kind of robs the fans of the team that wins, and it robs that team to give the Conn Smythe Trophy to a player that didn't win the cup. That's just my opinion. I understand why McDavid won the cup. I mean, he was the best player in the playoffs, clearly. So, I get it. But what if he had 38 points through 3 rounds and got eliminated, and nobody passed him, and he still had the most points? Would you give him the Conn Smythe? Right? I mean, so at what point?
Well, I think part of
finals, that's the only rule.
Well, no, I think part of the Conn Smythe was him making the comeback or leading the charge in the comeback.
They lost though. They lost. So how can he be the MVP if they didn't win the cup? To me, I don't know.
That's just my opinion. All right. So let me give a little against that. What about the MVP of the league? You're going to give it to a guy that didn't bring his team to a championship? Or to the President's Trophy?
That's a regular season award.
Well, so how do you not give Panarin? How do you not give Panarin it? He got the team to the President's Trophy, where McKinnon or whoever got it didn't. So it's the same kind of analogy,
right?
No, I understand. I understand what you're saying, but I just think playoffs is a key. If someone wins the MVP and their team misses the playoffs, that's absurd, right? I mean, that's everyone would agree with that, I would think. So I don't know. Look, I get it. He definitely deserved it as far as what he achieved in the playoffs. I'm not going to dispute that. He was phenomenal. And like Oscar said, he has an injury he needs to be operated on, and he still did it. So, whatever. But I don't know. I mean, I think it's more impressive what Barkov did, throughout the playoffs. He shut down everybody. And I know you're saying it's a team effort and taken away from him, but they isolate matchups now. They have the analytics on individual matchups.
I'm not taking that away from him. I'm just making a point.
Yeah,
that it is a combined effort to shut all these guys down. It's not. He wasn't shadowing the guy, is what I'm saying.
It's impossible to do that. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, the whole defensive scheme, the way he angles them and stays in the right position is unbelievable to watch. He doesn't overcommit. He doesn't give them any space. He makes them make decisions that he wants them to make, and that's hard.
It kind of makes it easier to swallow Zibanejad's performance in the Eastern Conference Finals to see what he did to, McDavid was great, but he's still 60, 70% of that series, he was pointless, so it makes it a little easier to swallow. But all right, so let's look ahead here to the NHL calendar. This is going to be insane. I mean, we got the Hockey Hall of Fame inductees announced today. There's a Board of Governors meeting coming up, which is going to change rules or whatever the hell they do there. The NHL draft is next weekend, and free agency is next Monday. So there's not a lot of time for teams to really get ready between the Cup final and the off season. So we're going to, preview what the Rangers have already gotten started. That's why you're seeing all these moves being made because this year. By the way, did you see the inductees, Coach? Pavel Datsyuk, Shea Weber, and Jeremy Roenick were the players, the NHL players elected to the Hall of Fame this year.
I did not see that.
I thought Jeremy Roenick was going to keep getting snubbed because of his antics, but good for him.
Yeah, Datsyuk, Roenick, Shea Weber, Natalie Darwitz, and Chrissy Wendell-Pohl, two female players, and then Colin Campbell and David Poyle in the builders. So 7 inductees. Shea Weber kind of surprised me on a first ballot, but he was good. No question.
He had a long career.
Yeah. I mean, first ballot is like a...
Doesn't he technically still have a contract, or am I thinking of somebody else?
No, I think it expired. So he was finally eligible. Or maybe it's the amount of years since you last played a game. He last played in 2021. So
I thought the Coyotes are still paying him. Am I thinking of another defenseman? Whatever.
I don't know about paying him, but it's got to be years from your last game played or something, right? In the NHL. Well, I don't know because Yager's not in yet.
I just don't remember him ever officially retiring. I thought like it was one of those things that like it was a joke contract.
No, you're saying you're right. Yeah, he's still getting paid.
I mean, I kind of agree with you. I don't see him as a Hall of Fame Chris Pronger type defenseman personally.
Like a first ballot Hall. Maybe he gets in, but first ballot is kind of.
Yeah, I don't even think he ever got bought out. I don't know. Whatever, we can move on. You know, I think his salary just kept getting traded around for.
It did. Yeah, it did. It got traded a bunch of times.
So I would say it's different if you get bought out and then retire, you know. But like he didn't even get
2 more years
bought out or retire. Whatever.
2 more years. He's getting paid. Hilarious, absolutely hilarious that you bring this up. But yeah, he got traded from Montreal to Vegas for LTIR purposes, and then from Vegas to Arizona. Really funny. But anyway, let's look at the Rangers situation here. So a couple things, Coach. Barclay Goodrow, Chris Drury in the midst of the night snuck in, and Goodrow threw waivers to his buddy Mike Greer in San Jose. Goodrow had a modified no trade clause, so he couldn't block waivers. If he had a no movement clause, he could have blocked waivers, but because it was a no trade clause, he can't. The rumor is, according to Elliot Friedman, that Goodrow had San Jose on his no trade list, so he couldn't be traded there. So they did it this way. I mean, Goodrow reportedly was upset with how it happened. He really didn't. He claims, like his camp claims, they didn't get any warning of the move, that they kind of just did it in the middle of the night kind of thing. Coach, what are your thoughts on Goodrow getting waived? The whole situation of how it went down. Do you think the Rangers owed him any kind of loyalty? I know a lot of fans are saying no, you need to be ruthless. Some other fans think you do. And then also give me your thoughts on Goodrow, the player, because we do have to replace what he brings. So, you know, what do the Rangers need to bring in to kind of replace what Goodrow gave them?
I don't know if you can. I mean, we discussed this last week. We were talking about what he brings, and you were saying, oh, I can't ever talk bad about him, what he does. And, you know, I think we were all giving him accolades, and it was a surprise to me. You know, it was a real surprise to me. I didn't think it was necessary, but I'm going to go with what you said. You know, we have to trust what Drury's trying to build, and he's definitely a Drury type player. He's got to have something up his sleeve to figure this out. I don't get it. Maybe he did a deal with his buddy saying we'll take him back in April. I don't know. I hope so, because I love him. You're muted, bud.
Thanks. I thought that might be the case, whether it's the Rangers or someone else, but I ended up looking into it a little bit, and San Jose is already retaining on 3 contracts: Erik Karlsson, Tomas Hertl, and Brent Burns. So they can't even retain salary when they trade Goodrow, if they trade him. So I think San Jose's plan is to kind of bridge the gap between, you know, these ELCs that are coming in now, Celebrini, Will Smith, you know, Eklund, and have Goodrow kind of lead them into the next phase of San Jose. You know,
I mean, it's probably not a bad place to live at the end of your career, or not the end, but, you know, tail end of his career.
Yeah. I mean, so when we talked about Goodrow during the playoffs, you know, it was one thing to, you know, what I was saying is I wouldn't complain about what he brought during the regular season anymore, because clearly that's where his value is, you know, and I don't think he would have been as bad as he was last year in the regular season. I think he would have got around 10 goals, maybe 8 goals instead of 4. But, you know, $3.6 million for a fourth liner is a lot in the salary cap world, right? Can the Rangers replace what he brings for less than that? Probably. You know, they probably could. It's tough. Something has to change with this team, though, right? I mean, maybe they felt the leadership needs to change. Maybe some other leader on the team is not safe either, right? Maybe it's not just Goodrow, but something had to change. And they started with clearing a little bit of cap space. Little Ed, do you think it's maybe to bring somebody in that's going to be a little more costly than we would have expected going into the offseason? Like a Patrick Kane or Jonathan Marchessault?
Yeah, I mean, I hate to speculate. I got Coach Ed is probably onto something where Drury has a plan. And yeah, for him to give up a player like Goudreau, I think it's got to be worth something that he really wants. Listen, I've been on the Patrick Kane train for a long time. I obviously wouldn't mind having him back, but at the same time, I don't think that's what this team is missing. I mean, I think he'll have an outstanding regular season with Zibanejad and Kreider. But does he have enough gas left in the tank to make another full run at the cup on the first line is a different question or a different answer you might get from me, So I don't know. That being said, Marchessault is obviously a great player, but I don't know. I heard that Vegas is probably going to try to sign him, or he's going to take a hometown discount to stay there. The big shiny toy for me is I think Brady Tkachuk. I think that there might be something up Drury's sleeve. Matthew Tkachuk mentioned in his speech on the ice that Brady's going to get to the playoffs very, very soon. I don't think that's happening on Ottawa, so maybe Matthew knows something we don't, and he accidentally slipped up a little bit. We actually know he's going to win. He's going to win the cup very soon, not just make the playoffs.
Well, Ottawa's got Linus Ullmark, so
come on.
Maybe they're trying to compete. It would be kind of weird for them to trade a first round pick for a goalie who just won a Vezina and then turn around and trade Brady Tkachuk. So I would love
a player like that. My point is a player like that. I mean, Marchessault is definitely. I know that I'm saying Marchessault is a little gritty. He brings that grittier edge than Patrick Kane does. Kane's definitely got the resume. But other people that are out there, I mean, like Coach just said, there's not many guys to fill that right wing spot.
You can look at Patrick Kane in a lot of ways. Say that it's not what the Rangers need, and it's really simple because we're identifying they need Brady Tkachuk, but there's only like 5 Brady Tkachuk type players in the league. It's really hard to get those guys. Teams don't let go when they get them. The only reason Calgary did is he wasn't going to sign there. He told them, I'm going to walk. So Florida lucked out with that.
Yeah.
I would love to get Patrick Kane back because I think if they did, it would be on their terms. The Rangers last year, they didn't rush out and sign Patrick Kane when he was available. He proved he was healthy with Detroit. He had a great season. He was like a point per game. He's still a great passer. He's still he's got all the moves. He's still fast.
Yeah, he's unbelievable.
I mean, you get Patrick Kane on a 2-year deal, like around or under $4 million. Sign me up. I'm all for that. Put him. It's much easier to move forward if you lock in a top 6 right wing because that's the most costly position the Rangers probably need to fill right now. Unless you're moving Lindgren and getting a new first pairing defenseman. That top 6 right wing is going to be expensive. So if you could fill that with Kane, then you could spend a little more on a third liner who brings a little more of an edge. I don't know. Because I don't know if the player that we want exists that's available. I don't know. I mean, Coach, like what kind of player do you think they need to put with Zibanejad and Kreider?
Our boy John in the Instagram chat is saying, why not Reinhart or Draisaitl?
Well, Reinhardt's going to cost $11 million, $10-11 million. So that's why. Draisaitl would cost
for that much.
He just scored 57 goals and won the Stanley Cup with the game-winning goal. I mean, what else does the guy have to do? Yeah, I think he's going to get $10 million. Yeah, I do.
All right, good for him.
Somebody's going to give it to him.
We're up near there.
Yeah, if he signs with a no tax state team, he'll get like 9.5 or something, and it'll look like a discount, but really it's just the tax thing, right? I think he's going to cost a lot. Yeah, and Draisaitl is a free agent at the end of the year. That's going to cost you Adam Fox or Shesterkin or, Lafreniere or 2 of those guys. You want to do that? You're not trading Zibanejad for Draisaitl. It's not happening. That's a dream. That's a video game trade, right? So I don't know. I don't think this that we want. I think it's got to come from within. Coach, I'm going to talk to you about that because, well, before we talk about that, let's talk about this player for Zibanejad's wing. When he was interviewed at the end of the season, he said he gave like a 5-minute answer to the question. Somebody asked him, one of the reporters was like, what kind of winger do you want to play with on the right side? And he was like, well, we've talked about this, we've talked about that. He gave this long-winded thing, and then he finally said someone who could pass because he and Kreider like to shoot. So to me, he's saying he wants Patrick Kane there. Do you take that into account if you're Drury? Do you care? I mean, what else are you putting there? What you're going to put like a third liner who's got grit and fill the gap, to play a second line role with Zibanejad, or are you going to get an elite winger to play? I don't know. You don't have to agree with me. I'm just asking you what you would go for.
I mean, I don't mind getting Kane, but like Eddie said before, that we need the Brady Tkachuk type of player. That's a franchise player, and that's a Stanley Cup move, just like Matthew Tkachuk was for Florida.
I would
Florida
love
had Florida had the President's Trophy, lost in the playoffs, traded Huberdeau for Tkachuk, and now they won the Cup 2 years later.
Yep.
You need that kind of player. Brady is a monster. He needs to be a Ranger. They need to do whatever they need to do to get him.
Would you trade Lafreniere? Would you trade Lafreniere for Tkachuk?
I think.
So not whatever they need to do then. So rephrase.
Okay.
Because now you've taken Lafreniere. Who else?
In reason, I'm talking about they need to do a Herschel Walker type of deal or a Barry Beck type of deal where they throw 5 big, very good players at them to bolster their roster, young players, and they get Brady Tkachuk. Not one guy. If they give Lafreniere for Brady Tkachuk, that's not adding anything, in my opinion, to Ottawa's roster. You're going down because Brady Tkachuk to me is a little more valuable right now than Lafreniere, even though he had a great season. So I have 4 guys that I feel would bolster. I'm doing an Uncle Pat.
Wait, you got a Brady Tkachuk trade offer?
Let's do it.
I want to hear this.
I'll come out of my Instagram. I'll come out of my clip retirement to put this one together.
Go for it. I got to hear
I have, and their salaries happen to equal Brady Tkachuk's.
All right.
He did his homework. Let's go.
Wow. Let's go.
I don't know if Ottawa would go for it, but I got Hedel at 4.4, Keandre at 3.8, Kako at 2.4, and I'll throw in the rookie Berard that's down at Hartford that everybody's so high on. And if they want a second-round pick or even a first-round pick in addition, give it to them.
So
the Rangers' first-round picks.
Hedel, Miller, Kako, Berard, and a first-round pick for just Brady Tkachuk. That's a bold
I don't
move,
care
Coach.
if you want to throw in a couple of second. I don't know, whatever.
He's saying more.
I don't mind that trade.
I'd be okay with it. You have guys cooking
in
the minors. You have Othman. You have a bunch of guys.
Oh no, we lost him at a key moment. We got to repeat what you just said. Did you hear it, cuz?
No.
I did not hear him.
No, Coach, you got to repeat what you just said.
Almost ready to come up. Oh.
No, go ahead.
Me?
Othman?
Yes, Coach.
We're ready.
Coach.
You got Othman ready to come up, possibly. You got Edstrom in the works of coming up for a third, fourth liner. We have guys in the minors. We have prospects ready to play. You have the kid you were talking about, me and Eddie Washington, the kid Mancini on D. You have the guy not Mancini. You have Scanlon. You have the kid Mackey's tough. I say we keep Trouba, get rid of Miller, bolt up Schneider a little bit. Give him his I got Schneider giving him like 5.5 for 5 years. Give Wenberg a few more dollars. Get him as the third line center lockup. That's my cram session I did about 45 minutes ago.
Nice, but none of that's going to happen. Schneider's going to get 2 years. That's it.
All right, well, as long as we keep him, I don't care.
No, they're keeping Schneider for sure.
What I'm saying is Keandre, to me, Schneider is far ahead maturity level on the ice in the NHL than Keandre. Keandre has the potential. Let him go play in Ottawa and find his potential.
Yeah. I mean, look, if
everybody loves him in the NHL. Everybody loves him. All the stats, so then his value is high. I say let him go.
If they're gonna trade any of those guys, that's the kind of move you trade him in, right? You go and get a 24, 25-year-old guy who's a stud franchise player, like you're saying. You don't trade Kako for a second-round pick or dump Heedle for nothing. You package them all and you go get a stud. I would love that. I don't think Ottawa does it. But
I mean, think about it from Ottawa's point of view. I get Brady Tkachuk. How long is it going to take them to rebuild before Brady Tkachuk wins a cup? There's no way it's going to happen in 2 years. It's going to be like 5 years at best.
Well, I think they're going for it. They just went out and got Linus Ullmark. I mean, you don't do that if you're not trying to make the playoffs, you know.
Okay. And they still have Giroux, right?
And they still have Giroux, yeah.
Yeah, but
so I don't know. I mean,
I don't know. There's teams ahead of them that are still knocking on the door. Like Detroit is light years ahead of them, and they're still light years behind the contenders. You know what I mean? Like, I guess Ottawa can make like one or two moves where they really make that jump, but like, I don't know. They could also make those one or two moves and then still not make the playoffs.
Yeah.
And is Linus Ullmark going to be that?
Ullmark's a great goalie. Don't get me wrong, but like, can he do it without a tandem?
He was great on Boston with Boston's team defense
and that team exactly.
He wasn't great when he played. Where did he play before that?
This is turning into an Ottawa podcast.
No, I mean, look, I think Brady. I said it weeks ago. Brady Tkachuk was the guy I wanted, and I would trade all those guys.
You tweeted it, right?
Yeah, I think that's what the Rangers need, and it's kind of a lazy take, I'll admit, because Matthew Tkachuk, like Coach said, turned around the Panthers, so Brady Tkachuk can turn around the Rangers, right?
No, those guys are unicorns.
Right, it's kind of a lazy take because they both have the last name Tkachuk, but it's really the point is that kind of a guy. It doesn't have to be physically Brady Tkachuk. I just don't think that guy is available. That's the problem. I think the Rangers have a guy, Brennan Othmann, who could be kind of like that. He's got that edge to his game, and he's developing, and he's young, so maybe he comes up and kind of provides that. Maybe that's the way to get it.
I do like him. I do like his playing style, but I mean, maybe Coach has a different opinion. He didn't stand out to me as much in that Hartford game that we went to than I was hoping he would.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, he's still cooking, He's a young player. I'm not saying.
Well, I thought we thought he was a step away, maybe making the team last year, and then we're going to the Hartford game, like all excited to see him play. And not to say I wasn't impressed, he still played a good game, but I thought he was going to be flying, really standing out, flying all over, hitting people, fighting people. Like we talked about in a few episodes, there were other guys on that team that stood out more than him. And I don't want to say it worries me, but like it was kind of disappointing.
Well, he could have had a bad game.
Right. I mean, it was the last game of the season. They were trying to clinch a playoff spot. I hope he didn't have a bad game, but hey,
it's possible he just had a
bad
game.
We're not looking for that type of player.
Okay. But also the other side of it is, players develop more quickly they can improve better over the offseason than they can within a season. So if Othmann came into the season, think about it in video game terms. If he came into the season as like a 75 overall, he's leaving the season like a 77 overall, 78 overall. Where he goes from a 78 overall to an 85 is over the offseason, the work that he puts in over the offseason. So you really got to wait till training camp to see Berard and Othmann and Sikora and where are these guys going into next season to make that kind of a judgment, I think.
What if we throw in Zach Jones?
And Zach Jones, and who's playing defense? You traded Miller and Jones. Who's playing D?
Fox, Lindgren, Trouba, Schneider. And we got to get a fifth. We got to get a fifth and 6D.
No, we need a second pairing left defenseman and a third pairing left defenseman by doing that trade.
Everybody says that the Rangers D is overrated, right? Look, if you have to get him. And Zach Jones isn't the answer on our D for playoffs either. So,
all right, let's move on from Brady. Let's move on from Brady. I agree with you. They should try to get him by giving all those guys are available for Brady Tkachuk. But let's talk about before we talk about the D. Let's talk about July 1st. Not only is that unrestricted free agency where the whole all the free agents are available to the Rangers, but the Rangers have 3 players who are going to be eligible for an extension. For the first time, Igor Shesterkin, Keandre Miller, and Alexi Lafreniere. Now, coach has already said trade Miller, so I'm assuming you're on the trade Miller bandwagon. That's fine. So Little Ed, I'll go to you. I know you were hard on Miller. Are you also on the trade Miller bandwagon, or are you just kind of letting it ride next year and wait to extend him? Are you rushing to extend him? Where are you with Keandre?
I wouldn't be in a rush to extend him. I think he's still got a lot to prove, especially after this past season. I mean, I'm not necessarily on the trade him either. It's got to be for the right piece. Obviously, for Brady Tkachuk, like we just talked about, is the right piece. But I don't see anyone else out there that's worth trading a ton of our prospects and stuff for, So there's guys that they could just sign instead. I wouldn't be in a rush to sign him. I don't really see the benefit of signing him to an extension unless he has an outstanding year next year, which I don't really see happening. He might have a very good year, don't get me wrong, but nothing that's going to blow us out of the water, that we're going to be like, oh, we should have signed him before he asked for too much money.
Right. I don't think I'd be in a rush to sign him either, but I'd think about it eventually. I think one of the problems with Keandre, I'd be okay moving on from him. I do think he has a ton of potential still, and I haven't given up on him. But I think that the problem is if they trade him, if you look at the unrestricted free agents available, there really is not a lot of good unrestricted free agents available this year. It's really not something the Rangers can dive into and fix all their problems. They have to kind of do it through trade. So if you trade Miller and you don't get a D back, well, now you have to pull from your prospect pool, your draft picks, which are depleted already, or your forwards to get a defenseman, or sign an underwhelming guy to probably too much money, right? Like the best defenseman available on the left side is Brady Shea. You want him back? We killed him for 4 years as a Ranger, Yeah.
The problem that with what you just said about him having a ton of potential, which I agree with you. He has the body, he has the skill, he has the athletic ability, everything. He has a ton of potential, but do the Rangers have enough time in this window to put, like, they're treating him as a second pairing, almost a top pairing defenseman. But there's not enough time for that to be a lot of potential. He has to be that now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's a good point. I'm gonna have a hot take here, and coach is gonna hate this. But I think it's much more likely that Miller is paired with Fox next year than traded. That's just my opinion. I think it's more likely that the Rangers go that route.
Maybe he'll excel.
Not that either one of those will happen.
That'll be the biggest mistake the coaching staff made ever in the history of mistakes.
All right, so I love
Check
that.
the numbers.
Just end it there. So let's talk about Igor Shesterkin. He's an unrestricted free agent after next season. $5.6 million on the books this year. Everyone's happy with that number. Rumor is he wants $12 million, coach. $12 million a season for 8 years. That would make him the highest paid goalie in the league. I think the current highest paid is technically Carey Price, who's like retired. At 10.5. I think that's the highest paid goalie. So, I mean, what are we doing there? Are you signing a goaltender for $12 million a season? You trying to get him down? Is there a number you're comfortable with in that, realistic range, or what should they do?
That's a lot of money for that's an 8-year. Look, he's proven to be the best in the league. Again, I go back to he's got to do it for a full season over and over. He didn't do it for a full season this year. He didn't do it for a full season last year. Is he worth $12 million? He was dominated the playoffs, but I don't know. That's an iffy one. That's an iffy one. I don't know.
I think you got to give him 10, 11 max. Like, what's the max contract right now? 10.5 for Carey Price?
No, that's not the max contract. That's the highest paid goalie.
That's what I meant.
Yeah.
I think you got to give him a little bit more than that just to tickle his ego a little bit that he's the highest paid in history right now. And that's it. If he doesn't take it, you got to think about moving on from him. Like, it's crazy to say because he's literally the best goalie in the league, possibly the world right now. But you look at a team like the Oilers, they just made it all the way to the finals with Skinner. Last year, Aiden Hill won the cup. I mean, I hate saying that because we always say it starts in the crease. You need goaltending, but the last two cup win or finalists proved differently. And like I said before, Bobrovsky didn't play outstanding. He didn't win the cup on his own. Like if the Rangers won the cup, it'd be a whole story that Igor stole this game, stole that game, stole. Like you don't need a goalie to stand on his head to win the cup.
Well, I think
Rangers do. The Rangers do. Don't
a
get
lot
me
of
wrong,
people. A lot of people
but
are
teams
saying
that win the cup don't.
Yeah, a lot of people are saying, that Bobrovsky winning has killed that narrative that you cannot have a highly paid goalie win the cup. The only one to do it, I think, was like Vasilevsky was a 9.5 for one of those years for Tampa. Now Bobrovsky did
Vasilevsky was doing
every
it
other
year after year after
every
year.
other goalie. No, but it's not. That's not the issue of paying the goalie. The issue in paying a goalie that much money is that it takes away from your spending in other positions. Like, so take football, for example. Right, like the Giants let Saquon Barkley go, right? That doesn't mean Saquon Barkley isn't good. It's just you're not going to commit the amount of money on your salary cap to a running back. It doesn't matter who that running back is. I can't commit to that. I need to pay for an offensive lineman or pay for this. Same thing in hockey. If you're paying a goalie $12 million, you can't pay 2 or 3 forwards 10, 11, 12 million. You just can't. Now you can only pay 2 or 3 guys that much money, right? So. And Chris makes a good point here about Florida. Yes, Florida did do that, but Florida also has a number of value contracts because they have no income tax in the state of Florida. So a lot of these guys overperformed their contracts. Sam Reinhart overperformed his contract. Barkov, they're all on undervalued contracts. The Rangers don't get that. The Rangers have Panarin 11.6, even Fox 9.5. Maybe you can argue, that's a little bit under what he would get as a free agent, but it's not a value deal. Zibanejad looked like a potential value deal. Now it looks like an albatross, right? So it's hard. It's hard. You need to hit on value contracts around a goalie if they're making that much money. And the Rangers never do. We're talking about re-signing all these guys and they all want max value. Nobody takes less to play here. So, you get hit with the city tax, the state tax, the federal tax. Guy gets 10 million. He walks away with 4.8. That's why he wants 10, So it's a problem, I think. I think it's a problem. You can't have guys making $8 million on the third pair, or like Trouba, right? You can't have that if you're going to have Shesterkin at 12. So I'm kind of torn because I think they need Shesterkin to be competitive. I really do. The team is so dependent on him.
That's what I just said. The Rangers need him to win the cup, but
I also don't really want to pay a goalie that much money. I mean, we just went through it with Lundqvist and didn't win anything, So I don't know. I mean, I think they're going to sign him, though. I think the reality is he's going to get signed, and it's going to be between 10 and 12. I think he'll come down from the 12. It's a negotiation. I think Drury will offer him 10. He'll want 12, and he'll sign somewhere, like Little Ed said, a little bit above the 10.5 that the Carey Price makes. And
I think you give him the 11 and call it, and that's it.
Yeah.
Call his bluff. You want to go get 12? Go play in Utah. Like, at one point you gotta kind of have the upper hand on the players, and I think Drury's starting to show that, especially with the Goudreau buyout. So
yeah, that was
at one point you got to be like, hey, you want to play for the Rangers and top class organization, whatever, top in the league, or do you want to go play somewhere else and make your 12 million?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm with Eddie. Vasilevsky played. Vasilevsky, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't he play like 70 games a season or something ridiculous?
Yeah, I was going to say he played at least 60, 70 games a season. He rarely got hurt. Shesterkin is constantly injured or going through a rut or whatever.
Well, the difference is that it's not a good comparison because Vasilevsky, his first cup, he was not making $9.5 million. His second cup, he was, and Tampa used the long-term injured reserve loophole to build a super team to go win the cup again. Without that loophole, they wouldn't have been able to afford to field that team because of Vasilevsky's contract. That's the reality, right? So he did it, but long-term injury reserve loophole. But you look at the Corey Crawfords and the Aiden Hills and it's an interesting conversation. I think it's pretty clear that you need an elite goalie to win, but does that goalie need to be an elite goalie or elite in that current playoffs that you're in? Like Stuart Skinner, he was trash, and then all of a sudden he was shutting everyone down. Games, 4-7 in every series. He was a monster. That's all you really need. You don't need Igor Shesterkin, but on the other hand, I don't know. It's a tough call. On the other hand, Igor is probably the guy I pick if I have to win a big game. I'm probably picking Igor.
There's multiple ways to win. There's multiple ways to win the cup.
We'll see. We'll see, Coach.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to hate it if they do sign him, but I agree with you. They need other things. To me, it's kind of a selfish move on the players' part if they want to be. I understand you want to go for all that money, but is $500,000 going to make or break your life if you're able to clear 4.5? I don't know. That's a tough one. You're getting it over 8 years. I don't know.
It's just going to prevent the team from really, look. Here's the reality: they're gonna give Shesterkin that contract, and then Panarin's going to be a free agent in like a year or 2 years, I think. So that money's going to clear up, and they'll be able to go out and get another stud, and that is the summer that Connor McDavid is a free agent. Just saying. So maybe that happens, but but they're not going to be able to add anybody to this core until Panarin is a free agent and walks away.
If Connor McDavid signs with the Rangers, Sean and Hockey
Night, I was going to say the same thing.
With Shesterkin, Connor McDavid with Shesterkin and Fox.
I was just going to say the same thing. Sean he'll just give up hockey, I think.
Yeah, I think he would quit the show. He'd quit everything. That'd be it.
Yeah.
And I just go back and let me do a Coach Ed thing. Just something just came into my mind.
Grind your gears. Go ahead.
No, how about can we just mention the fact that Edmonton killed like 47 out of the last 48 penalties?
Yeah.
That might be a stat that I don't think ever happens again. That was insane.
Yeah.
Think about that. Not too much mentioned on that. I mean, they kept saying it every time Florida had a power play, but it was like 48 out of 49 or something ridiculous.
I didn't see it much on the news cycle, but I saw it during the game. They were definitely saying it a lot. During the broadcast team.
That's an insane stat.
Yeah, one of my friends asked me, he's somewhat newer to hockey, and he's like, can you compare this to another sport, like how impressive this stat is? This 48 or 49. And I was trying to think about it, and I was like, maybe like red zone defense, right? Like, let's say teams score a touchdown 50% of the time in a red zone. In hockey, the average power play is like 20%. So to go 2%, give up only 2% on power play is like stopping, holding teams to field goals like 16 or 17 out of 20 times in football. Like,
I mean, it's probably something like the Chicago Bears in defense in 85, say.
Yeah, it's really impressive.
I mean, that stat is insane.
Weren't the Rangers heading in that direction until like game 4 against Florida, though? I mean, their power play was buzzing and their PK was dominant, I thought.
No, their PK was great, but not 46 out of 47.
No, they had 5 shorties. They had a lot. They were pretty good until that game 4 goal by Reinhart. Then it all just that overtime goal. Yeah, then it just nosedived.
But anyway, I just didn't want to go off the beat. I just wanted to mention that because I think it's a phenomenal stat.
Who we got?
Yeah.
Who we got next?
Lappy? All right, well. Yeah. So we'll move on from Igor. I do think that gets done regardless of whether we want it to or not. Just an interesting debate about the value of goaltending and whether they should pay goalies. Now you got Alexis Lafreniere, who got a 2-year bridge contract, $2.3 million a year, kind of a prove-it deal, and he proved it. And I think the Rangers now wish they maybe offered him a longer-term deal, and they keep doing this with these bridge deals because they're up against the cap, and they have to. They can't really sign these guys long-term because they're up against the cap. Like, Devils got a deal with Jack Hughes, right? Rangers aren't going to get that. They're going to sign Laffy when he breaks out, which he just did. So now he's eligible for the extension. Do you give him, make offers now, or do you go into next season, see how he does? You still control his rights after next season. He's restricted. He can't walk away. Or do you let him play again and make him repeat the season and then kind of pay him top dollar if he really excels? And then there's the other side of that where, there's buzz that Laffy's camp doesn't really want to re-sign with the Rangers. People are speculating on that because he's not on the power play. It cost him millions of dollars by not getting those opportunities. So you got his agent and a bunch of people likely in his ear saying, you should be the first line left wing on the power play, the number one, option. And they never gave you that opportunity. Why are you going to lock yourself into this place long-term when they're never going to give you that opportunity? So maybe he doesn't want to get Kane
too.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think you have to put him on the first power play unit next year. It's time. It takes Zibanejad and put him on the second unit. If you get Kane, you got Kane and Zibanejad on a second unit. That creates two decent units. You don't need to load up with this five. You got to give Laffy more opportunities. He's got to.
What team were we saying, Dad, that had the two balanced units that I was saying is more of a threat?
I don't remember, but I agree with that whole situation. I'm all about balancing the four lines, balancing the penalty kill, balancing the power play, because the other team can't key on it. That makes it a lot more difficult. And to add to that, you have two different power play units, two different styles to throw the penalty kill off.
Right.
You have one with a bumper and you have one with the guy on the wall, one with the weak side shot, Zibanejad, you got to throw them off, change it up.
Yeah. Plus you got that coach had just said, double the threat. Plus it's longevity. I mean, if you only got to play the power play for a minute instead of the full 2 minutes, I mean, that adds up. I mean, obviously players want to do that. They want to be out there for the whole time in the power play, but the coaches have something different to say. I mean, I think any coach would prefer to have two well-balanced power plays over one fully loaded one.
Well, it comes down to the fact that we've been saying for a few years now.
Unless you're the Oilers with their power play.
And look what happened to them. They couldn't finish it off. I think that was a big effect. It comes down to the fact that
you find a way to solve one of them, the other one's not going to be able to do it.
Yeah, the players have to buy in. You have to sit the players down and go, this is our long-term goal for a season, and it's going to make the season better. Instead of you playing every power play for a minute 40.
What about the contract, right, Lafreniere? I mean, if you're Drury, let's talk about it from Drury's perspective and from Laffy's. The rumored price for him is $8.5 to $9.5 million per season for however many years. If you're Laffy, do you want 8 years, right? That'll take you to like 30, or would you rather be a free agent at 28? Right? Would you rather 5 or 6 years? I think there's that side of it, and then Drury obviously probably want him locked up longer. But what do you want to do there? I mean, little Ed, what do you think? Do you think he tries to get it done now?
From our perspective, I would lock him up at like a Jack Hughes type contract, 8x8, 8x9, something like that. I think he has a lot to show, and it's going to be a bargain contract the more it goes on.
Yeah,
but I don't think he's going to want to do that, like you said. I think he'd much rather be a free agent at 28 than 30. I mean, right now, 30 years old is kind of like that downhill for an NHL player. He's going to want to cash out at that point for another like $10, $12 million contract, maybe even more at that point, depending on the salary cap.
Yep.
So, but I'd be okay with that. I mean, the guy has that right, So if you sign him for 8 for 5 years, I think that's still a great deal.
Yeah, I don't begrudge the players for getting all they can.
Especially if the cap keeps going up, it'd be silly for him to sign that then, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
If I'm going to go from the dad point of view, if I'm his father, I'm going to sit with him and the agent, and I'm going to say, if they're going to offer you 8x9, take the money now. You don't know what could happen in 8 years, and you're good. You're good for life. If after that 8 years you're doing that good, you're going to make more money. Maybe not 9 a year, but you're going to make 5 or 6 a year. That's not horrible money. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So to me, you take the money. You know,
If I were
that's a gamble.
Laffy,
He's not
if
a
I were
proven
Laffy,
star yet.
yeah, if I were Laffy,
He's
I'd
getting there.
probably want to get like a 5 or 6 year contract. I probably wouldn't want. I hear what you're saying, but I would probably lean that way because he's 22. So if he gets a 6 year extension, he's going to be 23 at the end of his next deal. So he'd be 29. So you're looking at a 5 year deal. He's 28. At 28, he could probably sign, like Little Ed said, a 10 or $12 million deal if he's a star, if he does break out. And if he doesn't break out, he'll still sign something. He's an NHL player. I mean, he's not going to flame out of the league, right? So it's tough. I mean, if I'm Drury, though, I'm sitting down with him and saying, we want you. You're a big part of our future. We're heading in a direction where you're a big part of this team. You're going to be on the power play. You're going to be all this. I talked to the coach. Get Laviolette in there. Tell him that. We want you as a core piece. You proved it in the playoffs. You proved it in the regular season. Lock his ass up. Lock him up as long as he will sign for. Get it locked up, and you work around that. That's my opinion, because he's going to be an 80-point player if he gets on the power play. You're looking at 80, 90-point player.
Breaking news, we have a special guest in the chat. Jackie Redmond joined. So everyone say hello to Jackie. Thank you for joining the show, Jackie. I know you're a busy lady, so
no pressure. Jeez. Hey, Jackie.
good luck with everything you're doing. You're doing great with WWE. So
yeah,
You're throwing that on me, huh? Wow.
Yep.
Jeez. Yeah. So anyway, Laffy. I mean, I think.
Wait. Jackie, you did a great job on the TV coverage you did. I wish you were there for the whole playoffs. I couldn't take it even last night. I wanted to freaking jump out the window, but hopefully you get a promotion and you get on the finals next year.
Well, it depends on the network. Depends on if TNT gets the finals or not. Doesn't look like it.
I think ESPN has it 2 of the next 3 years. I'm not sure which year is which, but
well, hopefully Jackie signs a long-term deal with ESPN or something.
You never know.
Yeah, for sure.
She's all over the place.
I say give Jackie 5x5 right now.
Yeah, so it's tough. It's tough. I just don't know. I mean, the rumor is he may not want to sign with the Rangers, so we'll see what happens. I mean, people make up stuff all the time in the off season, though.
So. Well, when does he become an unrestricted free agent?
So at the end of this year, he's restricted, and then I think technically there's 2 more seasons before he's unrestricted. So he could sign, like Kako just did, a 1-year contract after his bridge deal and still be restricted. So
let's just
3 more years.
Ask you this: what if he signed a 3-year deal, thinking to himself, "I want to go play in Montreal when I'm done with the Rangers"?
I wouldn't give him 3 years. He could hold out then. He's either getting he's either getting 1 year or he's signing long term. And that's it.
Okay.
I mean, long term could be 5 years. He's signing into his unrestricted free agency. You got to get him in there. You can't walk him to unrestricted free agency. He's too good. So, anyway. All right, let's talk about the defense, Coach. You were saying that there's all this talk about how the Rangers' defense is overrated. You don't really see it. I mean, look, I know what the fans are going to say. They're going to say Lindgren. They're going to say Trouba. They need to be upgraded, right? Trouba, lack of mobility. He had the ankle issue. He wasn't really very mobile even before that, but he brings that physical edge. He plays on the second power play. He can move the puck pretty good. And then you got Lindgren, who just bleeds every game, and I don't know what to say about Lindgren. You got to love Lindgren. I don't know. But Lindgren, he moves the puck pretty good. He moves his feet pretty good. He's just a little undersized, right? And if you're going to pair someone with Fox long-term, maybe you want a bigger defenseman to pair with Fox. They get kind of beat up in the playoffs. That's what they're going to say, Coach. Those are 2 of your favorite players, I think, on the Rangers. So where are you at with Lindgren? I mean, he needs a contract. What are you giving Lindgren if you're keeping him? And then Trouba, he's got 2 years left at $8 million. I don't know if he's finishing that contract with the Rangers, whether it's this offseason or next. I think the Rangers are going to have to move it. I really do. They're not going to be able to keep everyone.
I love Lindgren, but I think I said last week that I think it's time to put someone a little bigger with Fox. So if they're gonna have to figure that out, maybe that's why you're saying Keandre, but that's not the kind of bigger guy I'm talking about. I think we need to have a physical, bigger defenseman, stronger back there. I think Lindgren plays like it, but he's just not that strong. And I think we should keep him. If they move Truber, especially, I don't know. I don't have a problem with either one of them. I love both of them. You know, a lot of guys played with injuries, and you got to do it. And he does it. It's not like he sat out for 5 games.
Well, then how are you upgrading the defense? You're not moving Schneider. You're not moving Lindgren. You're not moving Fox. You're not moving Trouba. So that leaves you with Miller and Jones. That's it. Those are the 2 spots you're thinking you want to get rid of Miller and get a bigger guy than Jones and keep those 4 other defensemen.
I mean, we need to get a player like Nikola. Like you keep saying, a value guy.
Like we had?
Yeah, like we had. But but again, he stepped into a culture that played like that, and he thrived.
That's not the Rangers culture, and it never will.
I understand. We need to get to that.
We have to accept it.
We need to get to that point where guys are going to think more like that. Maybe not at that level, but more like that. You need to get that underpriced guy, and maybe one of the guys down in the minors is going to do it. They had Broberg on the Oilers that I saw for 2 series I've been watching with the
first
Oilers.
Round pick.
Guy stepped up, did his job.
First round pick.
He didn't take 3 years to cook. Went right into the finals in the NHL.
No, he took time to cook. He's been developing, but he's a former first round pick. We don't have any prospects on defense that are former first round picks that are even knocking on the door.
Look, I personally don't think the defense is the problem. Our defense is adequate with Shesterkin and net. We need to get those guys who want to forecheck and play hard, and that's the difference right now. It was obvious against Florida.
Little Ed, where are you at with this?
I agree with exactly what Coach Ed just said. There's no defenseman out there that, unless you could tell me something right now that someone's available that they can go get, but it's just not happening. I mean, yeah, all the fans are calling for Lindgren and Trouba's head, but who are you replacing those guys with? Who are you replacing the minutes that Trouba eats up, kills penalties? I mean, Zach Jones just isn't that player. I love Zach Jones as a player, but he's not going to be blocking shots, hitting guys, fighting, killing penalties, clearing the zone easily, like all of those things that Trouba brings to the table that people don't rate very high, in my opinion. And Lindgren's the same player. He'll dive headfirst into the wall to get the puck cleared on a penalty kill. Will Zach Jones do that?
Well, I don't know, but I
in
think
the Cup final, I don't think so.
I think there's a couple of things about defense that I was really trying to pay attention to the finals and the defensemen in the finals because every year it's big defensemen, St. Louis, Vegas, Washington, right? All these guys are big D. Is that what we really need? Because then just get rid of Zach Jones because he ain't big, right? But it's really about zone exits, I think, is the key, right? They need defensemen that under pressure can absorb pressure, whether they're small or big, I don't care, but can they take a hit? And are they not afraid? And with poise, clear the zone. That was the biggest difference between Edmonton and the Rangers against Florida. They looked great against Florida because they absorbed Florida's forecheck. It wasn't that Florida wasn't forechecking. It was just that they absorbed it, they moved the puck with poise, and it cleared the zone. So where did that fall apart with the Rangers? Was it Trouba? Was it Lindgren? Was it Fox too? It was all of them. It was all of their defense. They just couldn't get out of the zone against Florida. So I don't know if they necessarily need 6 guys who are tree trunks back there. Maybe Jones starts the year on the 3rd pair. He's a value contract. He's clearly an NHL level defenseman. Maybe you just pair him with Trouba on the 3rd pair. Yeah, and see what he's got, and you can always trade for a defenseman if it doesn't work out. Or
let me ask you a question. How did it work out for Winnipeg with Morrissey and Pionk back there?
I don't know. It worked out okay for Boston with Torrey Krug, though, right? I mean,
not last year.
No, I'm saying just generally,
that's one guy. We already have Fox.
Well, Fox is an elite player, so his size is irrelevant. Jones is not an elite. Torrey Krug is not elite. It's different.
Torrey Krug also played pretty tough, if I recall.
Well, that's what I mean. Like we have to size.
Right,
Zach
Jones isn't that. Zach Jones is not a tough play. He bounces off of guys.
Yeah.
Torrey Krug hits open ice. Torrey Krug mixes it up. So yeah,
I think
the
he
right
gets a
guy,
chance.
the right guy small, yes. The wrong guy small, to me, no. If I had my pick. Look, I love the way the kid plays. I'm not going to take it. It's not what we need. He's got more value of getting some other guys that a team like Ottawa or Utah or somebody, they need those guys. We don't.
I think if it's me, you guys are going to disagree with me, but I'm giving Jones the third pair with Trouba. I'm signing a veteran to kind of, as a contingency on that, to a cheap deal, 1-year deal or something. And then I'm letting Keandre play with Schneider, and I'm trying to get a new first pairing defenseman, and I'm moving on from Lindgren. I mean, I just think they need to upgrade that spot. I love Lindgren. I would love him on the third pair and not Zach Jones, but I just don't think they could pay him unless he takes a huge discount. I don't think they could pay him what he's due and bury him on the third pair and then improve the first pair. I think they need to do that.
I wouldn't pay him what he's due just based on the fact that he could get injured at any moment. That's the way he plays. I wouldn't give him long term, maybe 3 years or something, and gamble that he'll be there in 5 years and give him more or whatever. But
yeah,
I say
if he wants to stay, he'll take a discount.
I agree.
Well, Utah's got a ton of draft picks and no defensemen, so maybe they'll pay for Lindgren, and then what they pay, we can flip for a new first pairing D, right? Maybe they give a few picks, and you just trade those picks to Vegas for Shea Theodore or something like that, and then you really got something cooking. Or
yeah,
I know he's got injury issues, but he's a big boy, and there you never know who's really available. Everything, all these rumors are. There's a lot of speculation in the offseason.
It's all speculation, like we're doing.
Yeah, but then people write articles like, "Oh, the buzz is that Lafreniere's camp doesn't want to sign." It's like, come on, like, what do you know? You think Lafreniere's sitting there? He doesn't want to play for the Rangers? Like, give me a break.
Oscar said that.
No, that's the real buzz. But anyway, I don't know. I think they need to upgrade somewhere. They need to upgrade someone on D. They can't just go back with the same D.
Wait, if Laffy doesn't play for the Rangers, if Laffy gets traded, now the jersey jinx goes to Eddie.
Yeah.
It's like that episode of How I Met Your Mother where you it out to me.
Yeah, exactly.
He got the Kane jersey last year. That didn't last.
That's true, but if he comes back, that might it might put something in the bank for me.
Yeah, that could be a little different. We'll have to make a new category.
I didn't hang it. Shout out to Oscar. We officially have our Stadium Series jerseys. They came out beautiful. He even threw the Stadium Series patch on the shoulder, which is a beautiful touch as always.
So and the choices are great too. Troche.
Yeah.
Troche for Coach Ed, Laffy for Little Ed, and I got Kreider. So we went with legit Ranger type guys that no Panarins, no Foxes, right?
Yeah.
Oscar, start ordering the Brady Tkachuk kits.
All right, so let's wrap this up with a prediction, and this is something I didn't tell you guys that we were going to do because I really wanted it to be off the cuff. But some kind of prediction about the Rangers. What are they? What is something Drury's got up his sleeve? And Coach may just lean on his Brady Tkachuk prediction, but he'll go the lazy route. But what is something that's going to happen?
That was out of how many? Yeah, that was out of left field. How many you want out of them?
No, just one. I mean, mine's not bold, but I think that he's going to sign Patrick Kane, and I think half the fan base is going to cry about it and say it's not what they need. And I'm going to love every second of it. And he's going to be awesome with Zibanejad and Kreider. So I'm all for signing Patrick Kane, especially when the rumor is he wants to come back because he felt like he has unfinished business. And
another buzz.
He's probably going to take a discount. So how do you know on Patrick Kane? I mean, you talk about soft perimeter guy. Patrick Kane is not a soft perimeter player, guys. He's a 3-time Cup winner, a Conn Smythe winner. He scored one of the most iconic goals in NHL history. This is a guy who can replace the leadership that Gaudreau, leaves as a Cup winning player for a full season. We only had him for like 15 games with a bad hip. So your memories of him are not who the player is. So that's my prediction. I think Drury gets that done and then really goes for a bigger winger on the third line to play left wing with Hedl and Kakko if he keeps them. Little Ed, what about you? What do you think? You don't have to be as specific as me, but give me something. Give me some kind of prediction here that the Rangers are going to do.
I think Igor signs for that 11 number that I said before, a little bit of a team-friendly deal, and surprises some people. I mean, I don't know how bold that is, like you said, but I mean, off the cuff, that's really bold. That's really all I can think of. That's something I already kind of drilled home during.
You think it's on July 1st?
Nah. I don't think it needs to be on July 1st, but I don't think it's gonna wait. I don't think he's gonna wait that long because I don't think they want or need the media distraction, unless he's having the media distraction on purpose. I was thinking that today, that Drury's probably feeding these guys some of this media stuff to maybe throw everyone off the trail, and that's why I think he's got something a little bit bigger up his sleeve. But I don't know. Patrick Kane sounds like a big splash, but at the right number, it doesn't have to be that big of a splash.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a big splash. I wasn't expecting him to get Patrick Kane, honestly. I was expecting just a disaster at that position. I mean, they've been trying to find a right wing for that line since Buchnevich was traded, and I can't think of I mean, I would like a Kane or even I said this to someone the other day. I think it was PJ, and I talked him into it. I said, "How about Stamkos for that line?" And he was like, "Nah, he's old." And I was like, "No, but hear me out." Blah 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 blah. And then he was like, "Oh yeah, I'm all for it. I love PJ." But I persuaded PJ that Stamkos would be a good move. So I think they're going for something like that for that line. I don't think it's going to be a Dakota Joshua or Othman or Berard. I don't think it's going to be that. They're going for a veteran Cup winning, former All-Star goal scoring guy who can replace the leadership void of Gaudreau and really get Zibanejad going. Because if Zibanejad doesn't get going, the Rangers aren't going to win anything. I mean, we all know that. That's the reality.
But if Zibanejad's asking for a passer, is Stamkos a passer?
I don't think. I don't know. I just threw the name out there, Coach. I mean,
I'm fine with.
I would say no, but
look, I'm fine with Kane. Also, I have no problem with Kane, but we need to get more grit. We need to solve that third, fourth line issue where you can roll 4 lines and go into the playoffs and have that relentless forecheck. To me, that's the look. Tampa won with that, with the goal scorers and the goaltending and the forecheck. That's how it's got to be to go the 4 series and go all the way, to me. So yeah, I
got the one line. Troche and Laffy will forecheck. Panarin won't, but the 2/3 of that line will forecheck. And then it's up to Zibanejad and Kreider to forecheck. They got a forecheck. I mean, I don't know what to tell you.
Kreider's got to be that guy. Kreider's got to be that guy.
They're both
night in and night
out. What
are
they, 6'2", both of them?
I don't know if it's the system or if it's just the will not to have it. I don't know, because it looks like they have that backup passive system, which I'm not a big fan of in the playoffs. Giving the team the out, but got them to the Eastern Conference Finals. They need to get over that hump, and they're missing a couple of pieces. So I think a blockbuster, something big is coming. I believe. I'm hoping it's Brady Tkachuk. It's not it's a little far fetched, but
I would love it.
I think
I'm all aboard that train.
I think he should be a Ranger.
I'm all aboard that train, Coach. If that happens, there's 3 guys I would not trade for Brady Tkachuk: Laffy, Fox, and Igor. Anybody else they want, any combination of players they want. If they want Will Cooley, if they want Othman, they want maybe I wouldn't trade Gabe Perreault. I try not to. but I probably would go Gabe Perreault too. I mean, Schneider.
He's not a proven NHLer. I mean, I love him too, but
you don't want to give up Schneider, but you probably do it for Brady Tkachuk. Like, there's just so many. I don't know.
Yeah, I can't argue with that. I don't mind that those three.
All right, Oscar's starting to troll, so that means I think we're reaching the end of the episode.
Oscar, you know my feeling on that.
The problem with Hedl is he's such an unknown that he doesn't really have a lot of trade value, and you can't just dump him. He's got too much potential value to just dump him. So he either needs to be packaged in a deal where he's somewhat, bolstering the trade like Coach suggested for Tkachuk or something like that, or you kind of got to ride it out with him and let him rebuild his value, and then you can decide whether to move on from him or not. But it's tough.
Our buddy Milton in the Instagram chat said earlier, Hedl is a sneeze away from retirement.
Well, there you go. There you go.
I like this guy Milton.
It's funny, but it's also kind of sad and disheartening that what Hedl's gone through. He's gone through a lot. He had a really hard season. Didn't score a goal this year, right? I mean, that's crazy. He scored 22 goals the year before that, and this year with all of his injuries, he didn't even get a goal, right? So that's got to be in his head. Look, Hedl, you can say whatever you want about his game, but we send you all the videos, Coach, every offseason. The guy works hard. He works his butt off, so he's determined, I think, to really come back strong. And let's see if he can be better. Let's see if he can stay healthy. I don't think they can rely on him to be healthy, though. I mean,
I don't think so either. You cannot rely on him. Well, first of all, what's he going to be? Third line center. What's he going to be?
Yeah, third line wing or third line center. Coach, we're looking right now at your headphone, by the way, because you're not centered on the camera.
I need that wider angle because I got to move around. He can't play on the first line because we need the forecheck. So,
yeah,
he's not capable of doing that.
Yeah, you can't put him on the first line.
There you go, Coach.
Thank you. I need the wide angle.
I think you're looking at either bringing in a third line center and shifting Hedl to wing, or starting him at third line center but acquiring a wing who can play center in case he gets hurt. I mean, those are the two real realities for Hedl at this point.
It's going to be an interesting offseason. Drury has made a lot of moves in the past, and he's building a team towards something. I think it's going to be very interesting.
One last thing before we get off. A lot of people are saying in the chat, Jake Gensel is now rumored as a target for the Rangers. What are your thoughts on that, Cuz?
I'm off that board. No, thank you. Look, Jake Gensel's a good player. He's been successful in the playoffs. I think he's a good player, and he's going to help some team out there. But at the rumored price, you're looking at $9.5 million for Jake Gensel. He's almost 30. He's small. Like the reason I'm on the Kane Stamkos train and not Gensel is that's a 2 or 3 year commitment, right? And it bridges the gap to Gabe Perreault, Othman, and these guys developing and taking that spot. That's why I want them, right? Because they need to bridge that gap and compete now while those guys are building up. You sign a Gensel, an 8-year deal, you just lock in more cap. Then guess what? In 2 years, when Panarin is gone and we can't get McDavid, we got to trade Gensel, yada, yada, yada. I'm just kidding. But it's too long of a commitment
but you're
and
not.
too much money. It's too long of a commitment and too much money for, an above average, good, not great, not elite player. That's my opinion. Little Ed?
I agree with that.
Wow.
No, I'm with it. I was never a fan.
June 25th, 2024. Cousin Ed goes on a 5-minute rant, and Coach Ed says, I agree with that. Write it down.
Start making a spreadsheet.
Make a spreadsheet. Well, that's the first time it happened, so I could start.
Wait, we agreed twice in one episode. You agreed with the Brady Tkachuk trade.
Oh, yeah, I did. I did.
Listen, Jake Gensel's a great player. I don't think he's as good of a player without Sidney Crosby on his line or even on his team for that matter, So he played well for Carolina, but he wasn't that game breaker that they thought or that we were afraid of going into that series. So I mean, cuz you were never afraid of Carolina, but I'm sure there were a lot of Ranger fans out there that were a little worried once Carolina got Jake Ensel. I was definitely one of them. But once I saw him play, I that fear kind of went away from me. Like I said, he's a great player, but he's not winning you the cup, and he's not going to make or break the Rangers. For that price, they might as well get a guy like Patrick Kane, like you said. I mean, he's not bringing that much more of like an edge or that much more of a game breaking attitude than Kane does, in my opinion. And Kane will be a lot cheaper for a lot less term. So.
Well, I think Kane brings more of that, to be honest with you.
Well, I mean, that get in the corners type, like Getzel, I could see forechecking a little harder than Kane, maybe, a little bit more of a different dynamic than Kane brings.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of fans out there who are looking at finesse and saying there's a problem with finesse players. Well, if you're going to compartmentalize players into physical and finesse, then you're building your team wrong. You want guys who are physical and play with finesse. You want good players, great players that are players that can play either way, right? Steven Stamkos, we've played it. We watched it. We didn't, but we watched the Rangers play against him in the playoffs. The guy's physical. He goes in there. He hits. He sprays the goalie. He forechecks. Patrick Kane is a cup-winning guy. He knows what it takes to win. He's willing to do that. So yeah, in game 30 of the regular season, he might get lazy against San Jose. But if the Rangers are in a game 6 or a game 7 in the first, second, third round next year, Patrick Kane's going to be a guy the coach leans on to know what to do and how to play. And the players on the ice are going to listen to him. So that's the reality. I mean, it's not just the Rangers have enough talent; they'll be in the playoffs. They don't need Patrick Kane to get to the playoffs next year. They need him to get through the playoffs. They need that leadership. They just lost Gaudreau. You guys were talking about it. They lost Gaudreau. I mean, he was huge. Big reason why the Rangers even got to where they got. And he's gone. Is Adam Edstrom going to do that? I like Adam Edstrom. I think he's going to be a good player, but is he going to?
I think he is capable of doing that.
He's capable, but we have no idea. Is the point?
I mean, from the small sample size, again, him, Rempe, Brzezinski, they're coachable, hard players. It's not a bad fourth line situation. Those kind of guys moving in and out. I don't think you're going to get a negative from them. Personally, I don't think they're a liability at all at their price.
Yeah, Coach, look at the chat, though. Look, Oscar, Toronto is a team filled with finesse. Hasn't worked out for them. No grinders. We need bulldozers. What does that even mean? What does that mean? You want a team full of Brady Kachucks? They're not available. Not exist. We need to understand.
I'm not saying you need the whole team of it. You definitely need the finesse guys. Yeah. But you need guys that are going to bang the other team around and wear them down.
You need guys that are willing to play physical and have skill.
And they can't cover Panarin all game because they're hurting. Like Fox was hurting.
Yeah.
Because Carolina beat him up. You need guys that are going to go in there. Like that freaking chump on Florida, that the guy with the long hair.
I hate that guy. Lomberg.
That guy's on the cup. He's on the Stanley Cup.
Yeah. Look, Oscar's saying he wants Sam Bennett. So we just watched Florida win the cup, and Oscar's response, and I love you, Oscar, but his response is, let's go get Sam Bennett, Matthew Tkachuk. These guys aren't available. They're not available. Sam Bennett is a first-round pick, top 5 overall pick.
Well, he said no. He said Sam Bennett's of the world. So
okay,
not Sam Bennett, but a player like him.
I'm explaining what Sam Bennett's of the world are.
Oh, okay.
He's a top 5 overall pick who was drafted in the first round by a Canadian team who struggled early in his career and was dealt to the Panthers before he broke out and is now a 60-point player. So where are we finding a Sam Bennett type player who could put up 60 points? Name one in the league that we can acquire who's available. Right? That's the problem. It's not, yes, those are the kinds of guys you need to win, but you have to build your team differently if they're not available. Period.
What about what's his name? I think it's a little bit of a high price, that guy Mangiapane.
I like him, but
another
he's small,
Oscar favorite. That's another Oscar favorite.
I like Mangiapane if they could pry him away. That'd be a good move, but he's small.
I thought it was I thought he was a free agent.
Is he? I thought he had a year left.
I thought you. I'm not sure what list you had him on. I thought it was free agent.
Oscar's all about it. Were you gonna have bread and eat bread on the same team?
$6 million. You call it the bread line. We got the bread line.
Quit laughing with them. The French bread line.
Oscar said he's got one more year.
Yeah, he's got 1 year left. You got to trade for him. Yeah, I would be okay with that. He's a gritty guy for sure.
Legend in the Mist said, "What about Marchessault Teen Cracker?"
There you go, Marchessault, Mangiapane, and
Marchessault is another guy, a small player, but he knows how to win the cup. He's gritty. I like Marchessault. I'm in on that.
But is Marchessault a product of location,
the culture, and the culture? Yeah, maybe.
Is he a Scott Gomez, where Scott Gomez, who I loved as a player, fit into the Devils, but didn't really thrive with the Rangers? If you follow that.
Well, I don't think anyone thrives with the Rangers because they all come here, get paid a ton of money, and then join the country club and retire.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So is Marchessault going to come here in a Chris Drury, Scott Gomez style as a savior, not put up the points that people expect? You know what I'm saying? So that it's a tough one. Some guys are a product of their environment.
What about Tyler Bertuzzi? Chris on YouTube says.
Tyler Bertuzzi,
he's a little overrated.
Toronto tried it and didn't work very well for them. I get it. He's ideally, he's got that mix of grit and he can score. I think he had 30 or close to 30 goals 1 year. So I mean, I don't know. I'm not sure. Jonathan Drouin, no, pass on him. He's a product of Nathan McKinnon, man. They're boys from juniors, and McKinnon kind of saved his career. I'm a little worried about getting Drouin away from McKinnon, but we'll see what happens. And I think the Rangers are going to definitely try and get bigger, faster, and more physical. I do, but I just don't know if they're going to get what everybody wants, right? All the fans out there, you guys are going to be disappointed. Half of you are going to be disappointed. It's like a bipolar fan base right now about what the Rangers need to do to win. And the reality is what the Rangers actually need to win is they need their current players to perform better. That's what they need. That's really what they need. They need Mika Zibanejad to be better, and Panarin to be better, and Fox to be healthy and better. All those guys. That's how they're going to win. Or if those guys don't figure it out, we were waiting 3-4 years at least before we're talking about this.
Again, it comes down to the whole team performing better, and that opens up those guys. Just like with the Oilers, you can't rely on McDavid and Draisaitl to play 4 out of the last 6 minutes of a game.
Yep.
It's got to be it's a process of 60 minutes, and you need guys that are in those roles. And yes, you need them to play better, but they would play better if we bang up the other team a little bit. That's how I look at it. That's been the history. I didn't invent that. It's the history of the NHL.
Well, you need every line to be a threat in one way or another.
Yeah.
And that's what they need to shoot for. And if they don't have that kind of player, then they have to move them and bring in a guy that does. And I think Drury knows what it takes to win. And he's got to, he might have gambled on a few guys and it didn't work out. So you got to figure it out after that. He thought Wenberg and this guy and that guy would have worked. It didn't work. So now they got to figure out something else. I like Wenberg. I hope they keep him, but you got to figure it out.
If this playoffs taught me anything, I think I would just go out and get a bunch of guys who commit a bunch of, interference and, holding and slashing penalties throughout the regular season, because none of it gets called in the playoffs anyway. So you might as well just
Did you see the last
and just throw them all out there in the hook and hold and interfere and all play? Who cares? Because
the last 8 minutes of that game last night, there was shit going on. I was like, oh my God,
rules.
This is like, oh my God.
McDavid got tackled at center ice at one point. I was like,
there was shit going on. I was like, wow.
Yeah, I mean, the season's over there. So, we'll see what Drury does. You know, I want to thank you guys for coming on. We're kind of just speculating and throwing ideas out here, and you know, it's been an hour and a half, and we'll see what happens. I know. Well, we didn't actually. We should talk about this. Damn it, Capo Caco. Did we talk about what they're going to do with him? I feel like we didn't talk about it.
Other than trade him to Ottawa, no.
Yeah. So he signs his QO at 2.4 mil. So he's locked in at a good rate here. I mean, for what Kako brings to the third line, 2.4 is a good price. You know, I mean, it's he's a valuable player at that number. That being said, do you think Drury is looking to move him, kind of a change of scenery type deal, maybe a 1-for-1 for a different kind of player, maybe for draft picks, or like you said, coach, for a package for a star like Chuck? What do you think they're going to do with Kako? Because it's kind of interesting that he quickly signed his qualifying offer.
Yeah, that's a little iffy to me. I was surprised when you guys sent that over. I think they're going to package something. I'm going to go with your theory that you said that sums up his sleeve, and they're going to make, you know, having him signed for a year and sending him somewhere is a lot easier, right?
Yeah, because the other team has certainty. Yep.
Right. So I think that, you know, that's a move that is going to come. I think, I mean, maybe they're not giving up on him. Maybe there's stuff they see. Look, I don't think Miller's doing good. That the coaching staff does. So who knows what they have in mind. The guy I was talking about, maybe Oscar could look at, is Vetrano.
All right. I'm gonna let Little Ed take that one.
I'm not gonna talk about Vetrano. I mean, that ship has sailed. I mean, if we're getting Kane, they're not getting Vetrano also.
Well, I didn't say I don't know we're getting Kane.
Well, I'm just saying, if they're going to get Kane, it's not going to be Vetrano also, and I think Vetrano costs more. It's similar to what I just said, whereas you can get Kane for cheaper and bring just as much to the table, plus the locker room value and all that good stuff. But in terms of Kako, I mean, I've always liked the way he plays. I think another player that, like you said, he has a lot of potential. I think he's got to put together, just string together a healthy season. Find him a right line, no matter where that is, the third line, the second line, first line. I don't care where it is. You just got to find the kid a home and tell him, listen, this is where you're going to be playing for the whole season. This is what you need to do. This is what we need you for the playoffs. And let him focus on that. Don't let him, oh, maybe you'll be with Mika and Kreider. Maybe you'll be doing this. Maybe you'll be on the power play. You got to sit him down, tell him what his role is. If he doesn't like it, then you got to look for the trade. You know, like they're towing that line where it's like at one point he's going to be worth nothing, literally nothing, or he could break out to a certain extent and be a quality third line player, which I think is more likely.
The thing is, and you make a good point about him being worth nothing eventually. That is the risk of not trading him, right? Because eventually he's going to be worth a third or fourth liner, and that's really not a lot of value. But he still has the potential locked in there. The problem is that with an asset like Kak, I think you're better off taking the risk that he's going to find more than trading him for what he's currently is. Right. Yeah. So if you're going to trade Kako to a team who's going to pay for him at a price of a third line right wing defensive winger, I'd rather keep him and take the risk that he busts out, that he does nothing and he walks away and he goes back to Europe. I'd rather take that risk than just trade him for that value for no reason.
Oh, I agree.
So
not trading.
So you're going to pay for a second overall pick, potential top 6 player, 50-point guy with defensive stuff. You're going to pay for that potential, and if you're not going to pay for it, I'm not trading him.
I know I don't know exactly how this works or whatever, but I think it's a huge character piece, or shows a lot of character that he just signed for the qualifying offer. He didn't try to negotiate. He didn't go for arbitration or whatever, or look for more money, look for an offer sheet or whatever the case may be. You can tell that he wants to be here and he wants to improve. He knows he's not where he should be at this stage in his career. He probably knows that he has a lot left in the tank, and that's a good thing. You know, it's good that the player knows or thinks that he could do better. If he was like, no, this is the best I got, I'm worth more money, let me go look for it elsewhere, that's a completely different conversation. But the fact that he signed almost immediately for his qualifying offer, didn't fight Drury on it, left enough room for everyone else to be signed or whatever, didn't leave any money on the table. Like literally the qualifying offers, right? The minimum he could get paid, so
Well, as a
I think
minimum,
that's a
the
great
Rangers could offer him to retain him.
right.
He could
Well,
have got
like I
paid
said, I don't
less
know
if he was
exactly how
willing
that
to sign.
stuff works.
Yeah.
Right. So, like that just shows a lot of character, and it just shows that he wants to get better, like I said. So,
Well,
matter of
maybe
that
they have.
happening or not, it's a different story, but at least he's showing that he's not giving up on himself.
Maybe they have in mind that he'll be replacing Goodrow on the penalty kill. Give him that role and that confidence, something like that.
That's
a great player to have. There's nothing wrong with that type of player, man.
No, I love it.
Trust Kako on the penalty kill. No brainer.
Trust me, I think it's a great idea. That'd be my first instinct.
And there's always the threat of a shorthanded goal too with his skill.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah. All right, boys. Well, it's going to be an interesting week and a half. I think we're going to be out until after, or maybe a week or so after free agency opens. So we'll bring you some reaction videos to the moves that get made, any trades that happen. But I don't think we're recording again until after July 8th, right?
Yeah, keep an eye out on us on all socials. We'll post some clips on Instagram and YouTube and stuff like that. But another full episode won't be until after July 8th.
We'll post the date as we get closer.
Yeah, maybe we'll have Nikki Blogs on with us or Mikey Piersack to cover some free agency around the league. We'll definitely do something fun for you guys. So stay tuned on all of our socials for the announcements.
Yeah, and if anybody has an extra Stadium Series winter hat with the beanie, if anyone's got that, please contact me. I've been trying to find it, and they're selling for like $1,000 on eBay. So someone please help me out here. I'm not going to pay $1,000 for a hat. And Oscar's been unable to help me.
Joey Dolls calls that a bubalina.
A bubalina. That's what I'm looking for. All right, boys. Until next time.
Fans, thank you so much for joining us. We hit our personal record for concurrent viewers. So that's awesome. Thank you so much for chiming in the chat with us as usual. Ton of fun doing these live shows. So we'll keep them coming.
There's not many people that'll listen to me for an hour and a half, so thank you very much.
Yep.
Got a lot of people in this room right now. Love it.
All right,
good
boys.
night. Good luck in the free agency, everybody, and let's do it. Let's not lose the faith.
All right, love you guys. Let's go Rangers.
Love you guys.
Love you guys.
Hey, Ranger fans, the season is winding down fast, and the Rangers are preparing for the playoffs. Are you ready for the playoffs? Get ready for your next trip to the Garden with a new Ranger jersey customized by Oscar's Pro Stitch Hockey. Don't settle for any imitations. Pick your jersey from any era, send it to Oscar for professional, hand-stitched, official NHL kits. Get your favorite throwback Rangers jersey, All-Star jersey, or retro ready for postseason. Even the Stadium Series kits are in. So get in contact with Oscar on Instagram @OscarsPSH and wear it proud. Let's go Rangers.